Hello, everyone, and welcome back to ID24. Taking over at the top of this hour is myself, Billy Gregory, and I am here with my esteemed colleague, Miss Leonie Watson. Coming up next is Pain with Joe O'Connor.
And just as we are entering the last 4 hours of Inclusive Design 24, I remind you that it's brought to you by the Paciello Group with kind help from our supporters at Barclays and the Centre for Inclusive Design. As always, if you have questions for Joe, please tweet them to us using the ID24 hashtag. And we'll be looking out for any really great questions, good tweets, things that made us smile, things that gave us thought-provoking ideas. And at the end of the hour, we'll have another 90J JAWS license to give away. But that's quite enough from Billy and myself. Without any further pause, I'm going to hand over to Joe. Away you go.
This is a presentation entitled Pain. I am Joe O'Connor. I can be reached at Accessible Joe on Twitter, and accessiblejoe.com/pain is where you can download the slides. In preparing for this talk, I dialogued with various people on Twitter, and I got this comment: "Thank you. It's discouraging to read accessibility literature that doesn't acknowledge pain and the exhaustion caused by chronic pain as a major factor." Masterwork Consulting at MWRK. In the United States alone, more than 100 million people experience some form of pain that lasts from a few weeks to years. The U.S. National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke. I had a stroke in December of 2015, and I have some speech impediments, and various other maladies were caused by the stroke. $50 million in the U.S. alone are in persistent severe pain, and I'm in that category. I have been in constant pain since May 2017. If the person in pain can communicate, they are asked to rate pain from 1 to 10. So the question is put: what's your pain level today? 5, 8, 10. Could be 10. An observer rates the face of the person in pain using the Wong-Baker rating scale. This is a chart. There's an alt for this on the next slide. Universal Pain Assessment Tool. No pain is 0. Moderate pain is 5. And the worst possible pain is 10. On most days, I'm an 8 or 9. Underneath is the Wong-Baker Faces Pain Rating Scale. There's a smiley face for 0 pain. Hurts a little bit hurts a little bit more, hurts even more, hurts a whole lot, hurts worse, is crying, tears, downturned mouth, downturned eyebrows, droopy eyelids. And if you're Irish, you'll be laughing through the whole thing. This is the alt for the chart. There are no other measurement tools. Misinformation abounds. This is racist propaganda encapsulated in a Pearson, of course it's Pearson, textbook, nursing textbook, widely distributed and used for years. It's a chart called Focus on Diversity and Culture. I'm sure somebody thought this was a good idea. Cultural differences in response to pain. And it lists Arabs, Muslims, Asians, blacks, Jews, Hispanics, Native Americans. I notice it doesn't include some other categories. I'm being careful about the words I choose here. Catholic Hispanics may turn to religious practices to help them endure the pain. Jews may be vocal and demanding of assistance. These are racist stereotypes. And there's an alt for the chart on the next slide. And the following slide contains a very bare-bones summary of the page. This is an article, Learning from Pain on Living a Continuously Interrupted Life, by Quinn Norton. This link was furnished to me by Jennifer Sutton. Thank you, Jennifer, for always keeping me in the loop. Palliative care is inadequate and dangerous. Now, when we are in pain, treating the pain is sometimes essential. There's an excellent video by Kate Nicholson, a brilliant civil rights attorney who did much of her work incapacitated by pain. Lainey Feingold sends her regards to Kate. You can't get any better than that. There's a video at TEDx Boulder. In the United States, there's an opioid commission, and the headline is, Opioid Commission Mistakenly Blames Pain Treatment for Drug Deaths. Jacob Sullum in Reason.com. Another headline, Eliminating Opioids for Chronic Pain Unwise? I'd say. Now, I don't take anything that affects me from the neck up, so I'm not directly affected by this controversy. But this is an article by Pauline Anderson in Medscape. The myth of an opioid prescription crisis. by the Cato Institute. The idea that all of these opioids flowing through backdoor channels is because of prescriptions is a myth. The Sackler dynasty's ruthless marketing of painkillers has generated billions of dollars and millions of addicts. Sackler's own Purdue Pharma, which makes OxyContin. The story in the New Yorker. Again, if you download the slides, the links will work if you're interested in this aspect of pain. So Patrick Burke talked about the energy drain when faced with crowdfunding sites for charities, and I agree that everyday experiences take some energy, and if you're disabled, more energy. Now, some experiences, however, are not apparent that you're expending energy. I worked in the film business for a long time, theatrical motion picture post-production, so I know that at 24 frames per second, the double shuttering action, 48 apparent frames per second, of a movie theater's projection system meets the flicker fusion threshold. Now with a high-speed, high frame rate projection in many theaters, this is less of a factor. Thomas Edison recommended a speed of 46 frames per second. He said, anything less will strain the eye. So indeed, it takes some amount of energy to sustain persistence of vision when watching a projected 24 frames per second movie. It takes just a little bit of energy. So there's an energy drain in everything. But everyday experiences take some energy. Living with extreme pain takes extra energy. Navigating interfaces reveals a great deal of friction that takes more energy than is available. There are many choke points. Computer interfaces present a constant series of choke points. It's almost impossible to complete transactions. Just moving around the web takes too much energy. When you're drained by so much pain, just moving around takes too much energy. Reduced energy levels require strategies. Not being able to sit at a desk may mean more reliance on mobile. And indeed, I rely on my phone quite a bit. It's a large phone, but it's nothing compared to the large monitors and the retina displays that we use at desktop or laptop computers. Use of mobile devices is difficult with small targets and fonts, and the gray fonts, gray on gray. Cut it out. There are also unintended link and button presses. I'm trying to get into a comfortable position, and the phone gets out of my control. My teeth are already chattering from the pain, and I click on something that I didn't mean to, and I'm off in a different direction, and I just don't even know sometimes how to get back. A very busy environment saps energy. Banners, pop-ups, and overlays. Persistent headers, footers, and sharing buttons, all of these contribute to energy drain. Some sites require accounts. Passwords and security questions must be remembered. CAPTCHAs defeat users. Prop up an iPhone in front of you when you're laying down, trying to get into a comfortable position, and do the "I'm not a robot" CAPTCHA. Find the pictures with roads in them. And they're just crazy pictures. Of course, for blind users, that's not even an option. Security is the enemy of usability. And they don't even need a CAPTCHA sometimes. Most of the time. Use a honeypot. Ditching sites as unworkable is a frequent occurrence. Go to a site, pop up. Subscribe to our newsletter. Well, I haven't been to your site yet. At all. Ever. Once. I don't know what it does or what it says. Do you really think I want to engage in your newsletter? No. Ditch the site. Even if I need the information, even if I want the information, I will ditch the site. It's unworkable. So what can we do about all this? This is a section called Signs and Portents. So there are some good signs and good ideas that there are solutions to be had. Some of them off in the distance, some of them right now. In healing, a textile dressing for temporal and dosage-controlled drug delivery is a paper in Advanced Functional Materials. I contacted one of the principal investigators and said I was interested in any trials that they may be having and they're not ready yet. But instead of treating the entire body with dangerous opioids, delivering drugs directly to, in my case, open wounds that won't heal since May, a textile dressing for temporal and dosage-controlled drug delivery. This has good promise. Passwords. Clothes made from a data storing fabric will remember passcodes for you. An article in Quartz. Far-fetched? I don't know. The drug delivery bandage might have a chance. So notifications. I don't want notifications at all. If I go to your site and I clear the sign up for our newsletter, and then I get, do you want us to remember your location? No, never, never, never. Thank you very much. Do you want to turn on notifications? About what? Again, I haven't been to your website. What are you talking about? In Chrome, if you go to Preferences, Settings, Advanced Content Settings, Notifications, you can toggle Ask to Blocked. Now I use Security. It's nothing compared to, I'm sure I'm being tracked anyway, but just for the sake of argument, I use a VPN to prevent some tracking. Most tracking software tracks you, collects your data, and sells it. We live in an upside-down, backwards world. Bizarro world, where on Wednesday, garbage is delivered to your house. Now, of all the VPNs, TunnelBear does not keep any info or sell user data. Others do. I'm not sure of their claim. I can't verify it myself, but they seem to be making strides in that direction. This is an interesting concept. Tor is based on Firefox, the Firefox engine, and Firefox is getting a Tor-based security upgrade in January of 2018. This is an article by Tristan Green in TNW. Content blocking. This I need. I use it to calm the environment and prevent malicious tracking. Here's something called Unobstruct, an iOS Safari content blocker that kills sticky headers and sharing buttons. Not on all sites, but I'm looking at a phone. There's limited real estate. Sticky headers descending from the top, sharing buttons floating up from the bottom, very little room to read. This is a good thing. If I want to share the site, I'll copy the link and share it on Twitter or put it in this presentation. Adware Plus, I use that to block annoying ads, disable tracking, and block domains known to spread malware. Adware Plus for desktop or laptop is cool, but I don't use it on mobile because it requires their own browser. What's up with that? Get out of here. So I'm positing the promulgation of a privacy shield. Combine some of the separate parts I just mentioned. Standardize. Hello, W3C. Add profile elements as you want, not as the website demands. And allow select access to very narrow profile info. None at all when you're just browsing around. With a user-centered password, I do believe this is the time for user-centered passwords, where the site does not collect your password. You have to breathe in and out. No out-of-body experiences now. Suspend your disbelief. This is what I'd like to see. Not life-threatening. User-centered passwords. When a pain marker is present, provide UX to match, or a cognitive marker, or any other marker that you want. I know tracking everything is a problem, but this is what I'd like to see in a privacy shield. So in preparing for this talk, again, I was having some discussions on Twitter, and Denny Boudreau and I talked about being disabled. And I couldn't for the life of me imagine myself as being disabled. I know people, my own daughter, for instance, who's severely disabled. I know people who are far more impacted than I am. So I didn't count myself as being disabled. But Shelley Powers notes, disabled means having a mental or physical condition. If you had to live with me, you'd know my mental condition is not that great. A physical condition. Yes, I have a physical condition. Great pain. That limits movement. Yes, it limits my movement. Sense or activity. Activity, yeah. My activity is way down because it's very difficult to get around. In the physical world, there are all sorts of choke points, barriers everywhere. So she says this is a statement of fact, not a dismissal. So I had a realization that my ableist brain was preventing me from seeing that this is just fact, not tied up in ego or anything else. Very interesting. Thank you, Shelley. And finally, from Emily Ladeau, hello, I'm disabled. Disabled. Please don't use euphemisms to refer to me. I'm not challenged, handicapable, differently abled, special needs, and apparently we need to add specially abled to this list now. So thank you all for the conversations on Twitter, and that's the end of the slideshow.
That was a truly thought-provoking and insightful talk, Joe. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences and your advice and guidance around a topic that I think doesn't really get any airtime very much. It's certainly not something I've ever heard anyone talk about before, and haven't read much about on the blogs and other places. So I think it's really great that you've shared this with us today. Thanks, Joe.
You're welcome. Are there any questions? Did I stun everyone?
I haven't seen a lot of questions on Twitter. A lot of comments. One person actually recommended a book they thought you might enjoy. Charles Hall asked if you had heard of Calm Technology by the O'Reilly Group. I guess your comment about needing to calm down your environment, which by the way was a fantastic way of putting it. Yeah, I think your comment about calming down your own environment sort of reminded him of that book. So he sort of sent it our way to see if you had heard of it.
No. But thank you. and I'll take a look.
And it was interesting for me. One of the things you mentioned about the 24 frame projection, you know, it had never occurred to me that something like that could affect your experience. You know, the amount of energy it takes to watch something or engage with it. You know, that was really startling to me, especially, I suppose, because I don't see at all. You know, the notion of something being hard to watch or energy draining to watch was quite remarkable.
Well, I've spent a number of years in Hollywood, so I'm up on the technologies. And,
I didn't know that.
yes, I worked in Hollywood. I worked on Annie Hall all the way up to Deer Hunter, I guess, was the last.
Really? That's very cool.
Well, now I know what I want Joe's talk to be about next year.
Right. We want the inside scoop on your Hollywood years.
It was mostly chasing producers down alleyways, trying to fish checks out of their pockets.
I'm sold. Excellent. Well, I think one thing we have to do now, just as we're at the end of the hour, is just award our 90-day JAWS license for the hour to someone. And I think this time we're going to go for a tweet that brought a bit of a smile to our faces, and it comes from Chris Loisel, and apologies if the pronunciation of your last name is wrong there, who said that after listening to Russ Wheatley's talk earlier, he'd quite like Russ's voice to be the synthesizer for his screen reader text-to-speech. So I'm all in favor of having great voices for screen readers, so that one gets my +1. So Chris, if you're still listening, send us a DM and your contact information, and we'll get that information out to you as soon as we can. Billy, any further thoughts, or are we?
No, I think we're almost at the top of the hour, so I guess once again, obviously, we'd like to thank Joe O'Connor for his amazing talk. And we also like to thank our supporters at Barclays and the Center for Inclusive Design. If you want to know more about either one of our supporters, you can visit the inclusivedesign24.org website to learn more about them. Again, if you enjoyed this talk or any of the talks today, or hopefully all of the talks today, please hit that subscribe button on YouTube and follow ID24. We've got lots of events coming up, and yeah, we want you a part of them. I guess that's it for us for right now. We'll catch everybody at the top of the hour. We're in the home stretch for the final 3 talks. So Joe, again, thank you so much for your time. That was a fantastic talk.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you all for supporting this.
Awesome. Okay, we'll catch everyone back shortly.